Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Happy New Year's. It is a brand new year. We are in 2022, y'all. Thank you for everyone who joined us for our week of Kwanzaa. We hope that you enjoyed and were able to get some really good nuggets from our presentations and from our visitors. We talked about everything under the sun from faith to cooperative economics, to unity, and how all of those things have been playing in our lives. And we definitely hope that this year you're able to install and use a lot of those principles in your daily walks. And so today with us, we have, um, now I'm trying to make sure that I get the name correct, Jonna Morales-Thompson, and she is a wellness advocate, and she is also a certified essentials oil specialist. And we definitely love our oils. I know I do, especially during this time of COVID and all things germs. Having some oils to brighten up your spirits, to brighten up your room, and just to enhance your overall experience has been very, very good for me at least. To tell you a little bit more about uh, Jonah is she is a master's of science degree nutritionist. So I am very excited to hear what she's going to talk about. And her topic for today is food creates the mood. And we all know that, especially during this holiday, or during this whole season of COVID, we have been having our ebbs and flows of eating food when we're happy, eating food when we are sad, eating food when we're tired. I know that's for me. I do that often. When I get tired, I'm up late and I'm working. The first thing I go and grab is some chips, and I'm eating those. That crunching keeps me up, just my mouth going. So I'm trying to move to like carrots or things that are not so healthy. So I'm definitely looking forward to this conversation and to see how I might do better and encourage others to also do better. So I am going to bring our guest to the stage. Hello.
Hi.
Welcome. How are you? I'm going to change this background so it's not so busy. There we go. Hi.
Hi, Nia. How are you?
I am good. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. It is such a pleasure to have you on today. And we're really excited to hear all about the topic, like food creates the mood. Um, so I will give you the floor and I will bring up your presentation and I'll give you the floor.
Thank you so much, Athenia.
You're
And I'm
welcome.
really, really grateful to have this platform here today to share with you some powerful tools to really help you through the challenges that you might be going through. And so, as Athenia said, I am a wellness advocate, a certified essential oil specialist. I have a master's in human nutrition. I've been educating on in the field of health and wellness for over 20 years. So this has been my passion, my purpose, and I'm here today to really share with you the information that you need to get through this bit of a cycle, and it could be an unhealthy cycle, and show you ways to how to break out of it. Okay, you can move to the next slide. So, what do I do? So, as a wellness advocate and nutritionist, I empower women to take massive personal action to become warriors of healing for themselves and their family. I work with women primarily over the age of 30 who are open to powerful self care tools, who are struggling with digestive issues, their weight and mood, and who want to change their relationship with food. And I do work with some men. However, I see that a lot of women tend to gravitate towards me because they may be the caretakers of their household. So they're the ones who are preparing the meals, doing the grocery shopping, setting the stage for health and wellness. So it's for me to give them the tools, and it becomes this domino effect in their household. Next slide. Okay, so what do I mean exactly by food creates the mood. You're probably curious, unsure, not clear, but I just want to tell you that food is powerful. And it's important for you to understand that there is a relationship with what we put in here and how it affects up here. Next slide, please. Okay, so like I said, everything that we put in our mouth affects what happens in our mind. And the reason why I chose this picture, if you look carefully, this woman is chugging down a box of Fruit Loops, right? For one, the spelling of fruit is not even the real word fruit. And loops obviously is going to tell you that this so called food is going to take you into a loopy state, right? Because of all the ingredients that are in this box. So it's really for you to understand that there's not this disconnect of like, I can just eat whatever and it doesn't have an impact on my body or my physical state or my emotional state, but there is a true connection. There are ramifications, there are consequences, there is a relationship. And that's what I help women to do is reestablish that relationship of what comes in here into our mouth and then how it impacts our thoughts. Next slide, please. Okay, so why do we get into this mood of eating? What happens to our bodies? Well, for one, the current diet that we're eating is low in vital nutrients because the food that's grown in the soil currently and in many farms is depleted. It's depleted because it's been over farmed. There's not the right microbiome of healthy bacteria to help our produce grow naturally and to give it the full nutrients that these foods are supposed to have. So if we're eating these foods, whether it's organic or not, some of that could be that the lack of nutrients could be that it's just not growing in nutrient dense soil. So we could be eating foods that are necessarily not what we anticipate or hope for. And if you think of an orange that we grow these days now, they are certainly not packed with the same level of vitamin C that we had years ago. So it's just not the same level, right? That's why. Also, there's this hunger trigger in our brain that just never shuts down. Why doesn't it shut down? Well, it's because the whole purpose of it is to keep us alive, right? When we are void or we have a deficiency in certain nutrients, or there are those basic nutrients that we need on a daily basis, the protein, the fats, the carbohydrates, the vitamins, the minerals, the antioxidants, when we don't have enough of that, then guess what? Our body continues to crave it and we want more of it. Well, the body won't stop until it gets satiated and it finds what it needs, right? So if you're having food cravings, some of that could be tied to that you're depleted in certain nutrients and your body is looking for those nutrients so that it can do the things that it needs to do to keep you alive and healthy and well. Right. So when we make those choices for those foods that are void of those nutrients, guess what? We end up eating ourselves into a food coma. Right. And what do we typically gravitate towards? Those things that are going to give us that quick sense of energy, right? The sugar, the high sugar foods. And that could be treats, it could be candy, it could be baked goods, it could be simple carbs, anything made with white flour, white sugar, those packaged products, those things that come in bags, the dried chips also could be, sorry, Athenia, could be that form of fake, you know, sources of energy. And here you find yourself overeating and eating until your body feels fulfilled. And then as a result of that, or the consequence of that, we end up being either overweight or even obese. And then all of that ties into a number of other health issues. Next slide, please. So here we are in this situation, eating these empty foods, right, that have very little nutrients in them, the nutrients that we need to stay alive. What's going to happen next? Well, we're going to be down this rabbit hole, feeling tired, depressed, lazy. We don't want to get out of bed. We don't feel motivated. We feel lethargic. We feel cranky, agitated, anxious, right? All of these feelings can be tied to a lack of nutrients. And like you were saying, Athenia, like that lack of energy. So your body's craving, like, we need fuel, we need to be thriving, right? So we get into this place where we're stuck. Next slide. Okay. So the emotional body will follow the physical and vice versa. This is a quote from one of my favorite doctors, Dr. Darrell Wolf, and he explains how that our physical state, actually our emotional state, so whatever we're feeling and thinking up here, our body will follow along with that physically. So if we feel depressed, guess what? The body will feel depressed and start to shut down and not feel motivated and not want to exercise and not want to get out of bed and not do those things that we need to do on a daily basis, right? However, it could also happen the other way, where our physical state will follow our emotional state, right? So it becomes this hamster wheel. If we're not moving our bodies and engaging in some kind of physical activity on a daily basis, getting outside in the sun, getting that vitamin D production going on, um, then that can have an effect on our mood as well. We don't feel motivated. We feel lousy. We feel down and out. We feel hopeless, and that could have an effect in that direction as well. So it becomes this hamster wheel, this cycle, and it's hard to get off if you don't know exactly what you need to do to change that. Next slide. All right, so some facts. We got to throw in facts here so that you understand how all of this is interconnected. So, a folate deficiency, right? Now we're going to talk about deficiencies in different types of nutrients, because here you're going to tie together how having too little of a vital nutrient can have an effect on how your mood is. Okay, so folate deficiency, this can actually cause depression, apathy, and impaired concentration. Lack of omega 3 fatty acids is linked with diminished dopamine. That and dopamine is that neurotransmitter that we need for attention, right? For being able to focus, for mood, that it's that pleasure reward, right? It's that neurotransmitter that we need for memory. So when we don't have enough of the omega-3 fatty acids, right, these different types of aspects of our being can be impacted.
So can I ask you to share? Oh, sorry, I'm getting feedback.
Sure.
Yeah. So can I ask you to share, I guess, what a folate deficiency actually is? Like what are things that you eat or don't eat that would kind of cause that?
hmm So folic acid, we probably are more familiar with folic acid. It's a mineral, right? So if you don't have a balanced diet, if you're not eating a lot of plant foods, which are rich in folate, animal products as well, then and if your diet's not well balanced, then you can be depleted of that. And this ties back to making sure that you're eating a well balanced diet, but also those plant foods such as the fruits and vegetables. But again, those may not be of high quality or as fresh, or because of the depleted soil, that could have an effect on having enough of that type of mineral in your diet. And then we have vitamin A deficiency. This has actually been linked in studies to schizophrenia, which symptoms of that are hallucinations and delusions. A magnesium deficiency is linked to insomnia, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, migraine headaches. So you can see just from these few facts of how these vitamins and minerals and essential fatty acids, how they're tied to the way that our brains operate, shows you how that if you don't have these vital nutrients, it's going to impact how you can operate and work and function each day, right? So this is the place where you don't want to be. Okay, now we're going to talk about how do we get out of this cycle. Next slide, please, Sophia. Okay, so my approach with my clients is to seek out the natural solutions first. Natural solutions, why? Because they are cheap, relatively cheap. They are long lasting. They are not filled with chemicals or toxic ingredients, and there are no side effects, right? And they can be easily accessible. Okay, so one of the most important things that you need to do is to include fruits and vegetables before any other food. Why is it that? Because fruits and vegetables, especially when they are fresh, they have life in them. They have vitality. They have essential vitamins. They have minerals. They have antioxidants, phytochemicals, and enzymes. We all need these things. I always say to my clients, okay, you have a choice here. If you choose a potato chip, how do you think you're going to feel? Potato chips are pretty much dry, crispy, salty. so, so okay. So, do you want to feel dry, crispy, and salty? No life, brittle, or would you choose an apple that's juicy, shiny, crisp, full of water and nutrients? You know, like we have this choice, and we have to look at food in that way because again, whatever we put in here affects what happens here and also the whole body. So you want to eat foods that are alive, not dead, not processed, not in a bag, not in a box. You want food that is alive, as freshly picked as possible. And you want to go to your farmers markets. You want to go to your high quality, fresh supermarkets. And you always want to gravitate towards the exterior aisles of your supermarket, the place where they have the natural food products, the real food. So if you want to feel alive and have vitality, then you want to choose fruits and vegetables. And it should be in every single meal of the day. Have it for breakfast, have it for lunch, have it for dinner. Don't feel like, oh, I can't have vegetables at breakfast. That's not normal. I'm supposed to have pancakes and waffles and bacon. No, you can have some steamed kale on the side. You can have a mixture of sweet potatoes and spinach. You can have avocado, which is actually a fruit. You can have any of those things for breakfast. There is no standard way of eating when it comes to having your meals, other than making sure that if it comes to fruits, you have that towards the earlier part of your day, right? You don't need all that sugar late at night, right? Sugar is going to give you energy and you really want to go into sleep mode. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so the other part about this, as I mentioned before, so our foods, the diet that we're on, the produce that we eat currently are void. They're not as nutrient dense as they used to be, so we have to fill in the gaps. Supplements are crucial. They are the foundation of our health and well-being. We may not necessarily know all of those vitamins and minerals that we're lacking on and lacking in unless you get blood work done, which is not a bad idea either. But you want to make sure that you're getting a well balanced source of vitamins and minerals, essential fatty acids, and high antioxidants that are going to help to repair any damaged cells, right? So these are the crux. They're like the first layer of that house. Your body is a house, and it's the first layer, that bottom layer, that you need to have in place in order to be productive in life, in order to feel energized enough that you can get out of bed and do the things that you need to do. Okay, so we always start here. And you want to make sure that your vitamins are bioavailable. That means that they're easily absorbed, that you're not just urinating them out, that your urine is glowing bright yellow because your nutrients are just being flushed out. That's a waste of money. You also want to make sure that they're pharmaceutical grade, that you're getting enough, not just what a standard level might be on your low grade vitamins. You need higher than that because you're inundated with lots of toxic ingredients in your environment. So your cells have to constantly repair themselves. You're inundated with stress right now. A lot of people are very stressed out in so many ways. You want to make sure that your immune system is functioning optimally, right? That way you can stay healthy. Your immune system is not compromised. So supplements are key to help balance that out. Okay. And they're going to give you the energy that you need. Your cells are the powerhouses of what gets you thriving every day. And it is connected to every single system of the body. So, although you might be deficient in magnesium, it doesn't mean that it's just going to affect one thing, like, oh, you won't be able to sleep. Well, if you can't sleep, um, then you can't think, you can't also digest well. Your mood is going to be horrible. You'll be cranky. So it's all interconnected. These things are not isolated. Okay. So there are other things that you can do as well. Next slide, please. Okay. What does that look like? What are some other things you can do? Move your body every day, right? Especially enough to make you sweat. Walks are great. I always tell my clients, when you're starting out with a new exercise routine, or it's been a while since you've actually, exercised effectively, then start out slow. Start off with the walks, right? You walk a couple miles a day, fine. But then when it becomes a stroll in the park, guess what? That's it. You hit a plateau. You're not going to see any change in your muscle development, in fat loss. You're just going to be at a standstill. So you have to challenge yourself and take it up to the next level. Okay, you want to go for your walks? All right. Now that you can walk 3 miles, guess what? You're going to take some 1 to 2 pound dumbbells or get some ankle weights and make that more challenging for yourself, right? Or you can add in a run for 30 seconds and then continue walking. Add in another run for 30 seconds and continue walking. So you're doing this interval. You want to exercise your heart. You don't want to be in a place where your exercise is so easy that it's just a stroll in the park. Otherwise, you're not going to challenge your body. And muscle development and your bone density is so important. So that's why you have to make sure that you're challenging yourself also with resistance exercise as well. So anything that, causes muscle buildup, creates muscle strengthening and bone development is what you need to be doing. And it doesn't matter. It could be dancing. It could be doing push-ups at home. You don't have to have a gym membership. It could be going up the steps. Instead of taking one step at a time, you take 2 steps at a time. It could be carrying laundry. It could be carrying your groceries in 2 baskets at the grocery store. Whatever is challenging to you, that you're going to sweat, your heart's going to pump a little bit, then that's the way you want to go. Okay. Sleep is also crucial. If you are not getting the essential 7 to 9 hours of sleep, that has an effect on your mood as well. Cranky, tired, unable to focus, concentration, memory loss, all of those things get impacted in terms of your mood. So you want to make sure that you're sleeping deeply. No electronics in the room, no TV, no phones, no gaming devices. The room, your bedroom should be your sanctuary for sleep and rejuvenation and repair. And stay off your screen at least an hour before you go to bed. Also, you want to stay physically connected to loved ones. We are human beings and we require community. We are designed to be in packs. We are designed to have the human connection, the physical touch. If you do not have that, then you're compromising your immune system. We need to be around other people. That is so important. So make sure that you are staying connected to loved ones and not just on Facebook. You have to hear a voice, you have to have a physical touch, and you have to see a physical smile. All of those things impact your mood. Also, you want to pray, meditate, sit in silence, have quiet time. When you are in a quiet space, right? We receive information. We connect to our God, connect to the divine, we connect to the universe. We get information that tells us how to approach each and every day, right? That's so important. There's a larger force that's out there that is trying to keep us on a path of health and wellness, right? Trying to keep us on this path. And if we are not staying connected and listening to that voice, then we could certainly be on the wrong path. So that's important to always have time for prayer, meditation, and silence. Another crucial thing to do is spend 15 to 20 minutes in the sun every day. We all need sun exposure. The sun exposure will help our bodies to create vitamin D. Vitamin D is correlated with our immune system, with our mood. It's so important. I've never heard anyone say that they went out in the sun for 15 minutes and then they've come back and they feel awful. I've never heard anyone say that. It is a necessity of life. It is crucial. So we need to have that sun exposure on the hands, on the arms, on the face. Right? I know it's cold out there for some of you, but listen, some cool, fresh air can change so much with the body. And lastly, connect with nature. We need to have the soil under our feet, the earth under our feet. The earth has energetic vibrations that pass through our bodies that give us life force. When we connect with nature, when we are near trees, when we are near flowers, plants, they all help us to survive, right? It's part of our microbiome. It's part of um, our livelihood to be connected to nature, to be grounded in nature. There is an energetic force in that. So, as you can see, there's not just one piece of the puzzle that has an impact on our mood. There are several pieces, and this is all about filling up all those pieces of the puzzle so that you have a complete picture and how you operate in this world. It's not just, oh, eating fruits and vegetables and that's it, you're going to stay alive and be well forever. No, there are multiple things that have to be in place. And it doesn't have to be perfect, right? Any little step that you take each day is the next step, a higher step, a better step to having a healthier lifestyle. So it's so important that we take a piece of these puzzles and try to bring them into our life as much as possible, as much as possible. And understand that, it's not a straight and narrow path, it's a process and it's a journey. And this is one of those steps to help you get on that journey of feeling your best and optimal and achieving your optimum wellness and health. So I hope that you found this information helpful. I hope it triggers and it inspires you to take action. and that it empowers you to live your best life ever, because you deserve that. And you deserve nothing less than that.
Well, thank you so much. And I actually want to stay on this slide for a little bit because I have a bunch of questions
Oh, okay.
that came up
Sure.
from this. So all of these were great. And, like, I took a whole big old book full of no.
Oh, oh, that's
So
wonderful. Go for it.
so you said, well, one, I wanted to talk a little bit about the eating fruit and veggies first thing. I thought that was a great concept. And as the last, well, before COVID, I feel like I was starting to engage in other cultures. And a lot of other cultures, especially like the Asian culture, they have this as a cultural practice for
Mm,
themselves where they eat, like, whether it's a soupy a vegetable soup or something, like a brothy vegetable soup, or they have a fruit of some sort. I remember going somewhere and they gave us oranges and I was like, well, what's this for? And it was like to clean your palate. So everyone has their reasons for why they say that it is, but what you were just sharing about eating a fruit or vegetable, I'm like, that's actually not a bad idea. I
mhm,
never thought about
mhm.
it. To start there, because it also fills you up, so you won't eat as much of the bad stuff when you do have your meal.
Yes, and Athena, you bring up such a good point. You just said, then you won't eat the bad stuff. And
Hmm.
it's because that food, that carrot, that celery stick, that apple, it fills in the blanks as to what's missing for you. And you feel satiated. You feel
Hmm.
satisfied. You don't feel like, nobody eats 5 apples in one sitting, right?
Hmm.
Because it's all that one apple does the trick. It
Hmm.
it 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 resolves the issue for you. And the other part about this too is that if you feel like you're hungry, okay, so you have to ask yourself, okay, I could have a bag of chips or I could have a carrot, right? So I'm going to choose a carrot. If you don't want to eat the carrot, right, then you're obviously not hungry, right? But if you want to eat the chips, then what does that say? You're not really eating for nourishment. You're eating for maybe other reasons.
Hmm.
So ask yourself next time you go for that bag of chips, and I don't mean to pick on you, but it's
No,
such a
no, that's
prime
fine. No,
example. It
I
comes
know,
up.
I know the habits that I have are not great. So I know that they are, and it's funny because
We
it's
all
like
do
when I go
this.
shopping, I'll buy the carrots and I'll buy the hummus because I'm like I have to have something to like go with it. So I'm like, hummus is a good in between,
Yeah.
and yeah, so it's still sitting in my refrigerator.
Well,
So I am, but it is. That's why I brought up the cultural thing because I feel like a lot too is cultural, like culturally. And one thing that I have to be mindful of is I have little ones. I have three little ones, right, and they're watching
mhm.
my movements and what I do, what I go for. And my youngest is 5. And she likes to say, "Mommy, can I have something healthy?" And I'm like, sure, eat all the healthies, I put it out on the table and it's gone. But if I put chips on the table, that's gone too. So, what I choose to put out and to share with them as, create as a tradition, so to speak, or a
Mhm.
cultural norm for our family is what will continue, later on in life for them. So I know, I'm not sure how much of what we eat, and maybe I'm not sure if is a cultural predisposition that we, kind of find I'm a comfortability spot, that we call Southern food, the just that, like, comfort food. And is there a reason why that is the case?
Well, you know, this really ties into those quote unquote genetic health issues that get passed on from one generation to the next.
Mhm.
So, culturally, yes, we do adopt certain behaviors, whether they're the foods that we eat or, the way we carry on in our relationships, right? We are born into what our mother and father, whoever our caretakers are, we are born into, and we absorb what they do,
Mm-hmm.
and we learn what they do, and we adopt what they do as, like, this is the way life is,
Mm-hmm.
because that's our first human interaction. So when your children are watching you, they're really watching you, and they are programming, they're getting their program from you. They're getting their map of how they're supposed to be and operate in this world, and that also applies to food. So if we're eating, fried foods and, foods that are devoid of nutrients, like, we pass that down to the next generation. And then we think, oh my gosh, my mom had diabetes, my grandma had
Mm-hmm.
diabetes. But it's not necessarily the diabetes that gets passed down, it's the behaviors, the
Yeah.
food choices, the programming, right? That gets
Mm-hmm.
passed down from one generation to the next.
Mm-hmm.
So having some healthy habits, guess what? Your children are going to adopt them as well, because you are the company that you keep. They're
Mm-hmm.
with you 24/7, right? They live in your household. So they're watching what you are, in fact, doing and eating.
So thank you for sharing that. And so something that you mentioned and that also came up for me was like stress and that whole stress eating. Are there suggestions or things that you do to that you offer up for your clients when they're like, when I'm stressed, I just eat. Like I don't eat it mindlessly. I don't think about it. I know like if I'm going for a long drive, I am, again to keep my mind going, I'm just eating something to just, mindlessly. Not really that I'm hungry, but just doing it. So how does stress kind of play into that, and what suggestions might you offer to someone who is a stress eater to, I guess, create new or put new things in place to start to change that pattern?
Yes, that's a great question. Very common too.
Hmm.
People eat because they feel sad, they feel lonely, they feel stressed, they feel anxious, right? They think that food is the answer. The food is going to resolve that emotion. And that's not the case at all. Food is there to keep us alive. We eat to live, we don't live to eat. So, food is never a solution for an emotional state in the sense that it's going to resolve that emotion. So, if you are stressed, then you have to ask yourself, why am I stressed? Go to the root cause. Maybe it's just a matter of having a conversation with someone. Maybe it's an issue of resolving a conflict. Maybe you need to talk to someone and vent. Maybe you need to release the physical state that you're in, that physical tension. Go for a walk, go for a run, do some exercise, release that energy. Maybe you need to journal, just do a brain dump and release it onto paper, get some clarity, sit in silence, receive information from the divine, from your God, from your universe as to how to resolve this issue, right? So take some deep breaths. Use some oils. I'll tell you, I have a bottle of peace essential oil right here. I was anxious before this uh this this call, and I said, what tools do I have available to me to bring me up into a place of calm and
Hmm.
relaxation? So I went to my essential oils,
Hmm.
breathed in deeply, and I feel fabulous, right? So
Hmm.
we have all those tools available to us, but we have to understand that food is not your friend. It's not your best friend. It's
Hmm.
not going to take away your worries. It's
Hmm.
there to keep you alive, and it helps you to deal with stress in the sense that it gives you the nutrients that helps those cells that get damaged from free radicals or from those stressful situations, or your cortisol goes up, and then it can help you with those reserves of nutrients that you have in your body because you ate so well, to deal with stress in a more healthy way as
Mm.
being more like doing it in an unhealthy way.
Right, right. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, thank you for that,
You're
for
welcome.
sure.
And in addition to that, when you are stressed out, you're in fight or flight mode.
Hmm.
You are not in digestion mode. So that food is not going to go anywhere. It's going to sit, it's going to collect in your fat cells, and then you're going to be unhappy, even more unhappy afterwards because
Mm.
you beat yourself up for gaining weight. So,
That makes sense. Yeah. You talked about 7 to 9 hours of sleep, um, especially over the Christmas break for myself personally. I felt that there was like a sweet spot almost. That trying to sleep 8 to 9 hours, I was waking up feeling more tired and more groggy and unproductive.
mm,
Um, and the 6 hours, so I'm kind of like 6 to 7 hours is kind of like my sweet spot, is what I'm figuring. And so
mhm.
that's kind of my goal. Is that typical for people?
Everyone has their sweet spot, their requirement for what the amount of sleep that they need. So it boils down to listening to your body. Everybody's body is different. We're all biologically unique. So you have to listen to what your body needs. I
Mm-hmm.
put out 7 to 9 hours because it's that range,
Mm-hmm.
that where the body needs to restore itself, to heal itself, to feel rejuvenated. So you need that range of sleep. But for some people, it could be a little bit less, or it could be a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Find
Mm-hmm.
your spot.
Makes sense. And then I loved that you had on here pray, meditate, and sit in silence, right? I've been reading this book, and there were two iterations of it, and I read one that was for marriages and then one for leaders, and he kept pushing towards this, creating time to just be alone, like having your Sabbath day. And my husband and I always go back and forth about, like what the Sabbath day should look like and what we should be doing. And this book is like, you should be doing nothing. It should be a time for fun and journaling and writing and spending time and reading the Bible. And I'm just like, to do that for a whole 24 hours, I don't know. It's that, because I used to see my grandfather every morning wake up at 5 o'clock and be, and be with God for like an hour or two. And I'd be like, it can't be that much to talk about. But now as I'm getting older, I see it, and I took off for a week between Christmas and New Year's, and I did minimal work, and I felt it. My mind was able to flow. I was able to
Mhm.
be creative. I was like, oh, I got to get a paper. Like, ideas just started coming to me.
Right.
So I feel like we don't really understand or know, like we don't talk enough about like the pray, to meditate, and sit in silence piece. And I think now because of COVID, more of that has become more commonplace. But do you how prevalent, I guess, or what is there a particular time frame? Like how long should one sit in silence? Do you, or what have you experienced has been the best?
Well, it's really up to the individual and the individual's lifestyle. You have families that come into the mix, so you have to navigate that time that um, where it allows you to do that. For
Mm-hmm.
me, I have young children, I have dogs, I have a husband. Once they start waking up, then my day is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I start my day with reading, being quiet, being still, thinking, right? Writing down thoughts, thinking about what my day is going to look like, because that's my time.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't carve out my time, then I have no time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so important. I can't be last. We can't be last, especially if
Mm-hmm.
we're caretakers for others. We have to prioritize ourselves so that we have the time that we need to fill our souls, to be in a state of stillness. If there's too much distractions, too much noise, too much information coming in all the time, you never have that opportunity to be creative.
Mhm.
You never have the opportunity to receive information as to what you need to do in this world. You'll never have that time to rest and be at peace.
Mhm.
So that is so important for our health and wellness to have that part of that puzzle in place. Otherwise, you'll lose it. And no one else in this world will do this for you except for you.
Yeah. 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 I definitely agree. Well, thank you for that. I just have one last question, and that is, are there any books or audios or literature, things that you think that one should kind of look for or engage with that might be helpful on this particular topic?
Oh, wow, there's so many books. One book that I found has been a game changer for me personally. It's called Healthy to 100, which I'm reading right now,
Okay.
and is by Dr. Dara Wolf. And it has taught me things that I didn't even learn through grad school and through all the years of thinking I knew about health. And
Hmm.
it really opened up another world to how to empower ourselves to take charge of our health, that we have control over many things that we don't think we do, and
Hmm.
that we don't always have to outsource our health care. Because when
Hmm.
you have the tools, which are many, especially natural tools, plant medicine, you don't always have to run to a hospital ER room or to a clinic, right? You can do some of these things at home, and our
Hmm.
ancestors did that. Our
Hmm.
ancestors knew what plants to resort to.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I highly recommend that book to a lot of people to read because it really takes you to another level of understanding how to be healthy. It goes,
Awesome. I'll definitely take a look at it. Thank you very much. And can you tell everyone how they can get in contact with you?
yes. So my practice is Tailor Wellness. My website is tailorwellness.com. I am going through an update of the site, so stay tuned for that. It should be done in a couple of months. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and my contact information is there, so you can absolutely reach out to me, and we can schedule a consultation and talk about what your goals are and how I can support you on that journey.
Well, thank you very much. Let me stop sharing. Thank you so much. This was amazing. And I just put Jonah's information in the chat. Definitely encourage you to reach out to her. This was a wealth of knowledge. I know it warmed my soul. I was able to get a number of questions. And this big on, changing the ideas on the mental state of our culture. We have, like you said, so many things that have been ingrained in us, more so passed down because of what we think or what had to be tradition. But now we're at a space where we learn and know better and should be doing better. And we're still defaulting to, oh, well, that's not my tradition. And so creating new traditions, creating a new idea of what our culture should be and what it can be based on being educationally informed. So I thank you so much for your knowledge and all that you have been working on. And I look forward to bringing you back sometime throughout this year. So thank you for kicking us off for the new year.
Thank you, Athena. Thank you so much for giving me this space to
No
share my
problem.
journey with you guys. So thank you. I
Most
appreciate
definitely. Well, thank you.
it. All right.
And
Have a happy new year.
you do the same. Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you all again. We really appreciate you for joining us on today. And for those who will be watching afterwards, we definitely hope that you have get your books out and take some notes. As you know, we are leading up to Juneteenth. Very excited about that and looking forward to everything that this year, 2022, has for our 13th annual year. That has been such an amazing space for us. And we talked about just leaning into faith. This is definitely a place where I am right now because 3 years ago, I was ready to give up. I was done when Juneteenth. I said our 10th annual was going to be my last, and then COVID happened, and we did virtual, and it was amazing. And then last year happened, and that was amazing. And this year is going to happen, and that will be amazing too, because of faith. So I have a little video. We are currently in a process of connecting and looking for sponsors. We are looking for vendors, people who would like to be a part of our process. On last year, I think the 22nd, I think it was, we did a full presentation about our Juneteenth, what things will look like for this coming year. So I definitely encourage you to go back and look at that and to get some information there. But I do have a little video that I am going to share with you before we close out, and then we will see you again next week. Have a good one. Bye. Thank you.